Good morning, and it's Lily from Heel Scotland, live from Skye. And with me this morning, I have got Kenny Neilson from the Polar Bear Club, which has been doing some unbelievable work. And I am very, very excited to say that Kenny's coming to Skye to the Healing next week for the Wild Energy Medicine Retreat. I'm going to be introducing people and explaining what the Polar Bear Club actually does, because I know that I was certainly really unaware what the major differences were, because obviously as a big Wim Hof fan, been doing the method for years. This is a completely different process. So Kenny, how you doing? Thanks so much for getting up at this time and coming on to speak to me.
I am all right, thank you very much. Thanks for having me on again. I do actually love our chats, man. Look forward to it. Apart from the time in the morning, I've kind of took myself out of that whole rat race, that whole matrix, so my days are usually myself. So getting up at 5, 6 in the morning is no longer my thing. I like to rest these days. But I am all right. I'm really, really good. I'm actually in the club right now. So whilst I'm here early, I'm going to get up and I'm going to get into my ice. That's what I'm going to do today.
So how does that look for you? Right, so because your tubs, for people that have not met you before, tell them about the difference with your tubs that you have there.
So obviously the whole world is fascinated with cold water therapy, and
yes.
So am I, and I always was. That's how I started out. When I came out of the hospital after my 4-year relapse, the whole world was Wim Hof crazy. Yes. And my big mate came and took me. I'd already tried the cold water 9 months before I got sober. And then when I came out of the hospital, my big mate took me up to the campuses again, and he threw me in, and my whole cold water journey started there. So from there, I went straight onto the Wim Hof thing. I'd done the 13-week course. I was sober, and I was like newly sober and crazy, and I was looking for something. And I chased the whole cold water dream, and just by pure chance, we met Valerian Romanovsky, and he wanted to work with us because he's seen the club getting bigger, blah, 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 mutual interest, all that sort of stuff. So we went to cold water therapy, to cold exposure, which to me, probably most people would think that's the same thing, but for me, it's slightly different. Because Valerian took us away from this whole sort of meditation and breath work and the dopamine levels and all that sort of stuff, the brown fats and immune systems. It was like that wasn't his goal. So even though we still get all that with cold exposure, his whole studies run about it was the effects on the body, the human mind, and how long we can sort of last. He was an endurance man. Yes. And if you go back to the start of Wim Hof was always in the big glass box, Guinness World Records, swimming under icebergs. And that intrigued me, the sort of pushing yourself element, like the pushing past the 3-minute cold water therapy boundary. And Valerian started teaching us things about hypothermia. So when we first met him, he put us into an ice tank. It was like 3 days of just absolute madness. Going for like a 3-minute cold water dip in the camps to sitting in an ice tank for 53 minutes. And coming out there and just your bodily is just rattling and pain and uncomfortable. And then he showed his resets, and he was like, we need to do 100 resets. We didn't even know what a reset was. I went in and out this ice tank. People are screaming and crying, and it was a very, very strange experience. It was a very punishing experience. But for me, coming out of alcoholism, drug addiction, I seen something in it. I seen an element. What I seen was the two parts of self, the higher self and the lower self, the negative, the positive, all that sort of stuff. And there was a way of pushing past this negativity in your head and trying to have to really, it's like getting into a boxing ring and lasting for 12 rounds, but you were in it yourself and you had to try and push yourself through it. And I seen something in it. So as we progressed with Valerian Romanovsky and progressed with the club, and then people started watching the things we were doing, so then went into like the snorkel, 30 minutes in the snorkel, and then putting ourselves into the glass box, Titanic projects, -50 chambers. We started to see this that the body and the mind are totally separate. That's what I could start to see, that there's a separation between the body and the mind, even though it is one as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
The mind has got the power to control the body. So this is what I started to see. And when we would work with people and we would study them. So we became these like mini scheme scientists, and we've got folders, hundreds of folders with hundreds of people's names in it, and we study them for before they go into the tank, their temperatures, when they go into the tank, when they start shaking, all that sort of stuff, what they ate the day before, what kind of diet they're on, how did they sleep last night. We started doing this crazy study, and we just keep writing it down. 12-year-old twins and everything, man. Guys, Big Danny with Tourette's. There's lots of stuff, man. We just started studying people. Somebody said there was something wrong with them. We'd say, let's go to the tank, see what happens. So, yeah. So we started looking at this thing in the mind. And what we started to realise is when people who can sit in the tank and keep a sort of calm presence about themselves, they could start to prolong the length of time in the tank. And it was like getting ridiculous, like an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, like ridiculous. The last real big thing we done was when we put Michael into the ice tank, and for 2 hours and 10 minutes he kept his body temperature above 36 degrees. And we're like, it's like -5 in the middle of that, -10 in the middle of that tank.
Aye.
So looking at other people, what we started to see was the absolute second doubt creeped in. Like,
that's it.
And I remember when Jack, we first noticed it with Jack. Jack was last year's world champion at 6 hours and a minute or something. That's just been beaten this year though. We noticed him, he was trying to beat Big Luca. Big Luca was sitting at 2 hours or something in the ice tank. And Jack went in, and at like an hour and a half, he was like, I'm uncomfortable. It's like, I don't like that. It's like they started moving about. And as soon as the doubt crept in, he went from like 36 degrees to like 34 degrees. Boof.
Right.
Hypothermia was starting to set in because his mindset had went. Whereas when we then took him to the championship and he started to learn and he knew what the body was doing, he knew how to be cold. You know, he was sitting there at 6 hours just rattling for a fag. And it's like, we've done enough now, let's go. And we're like, okay, fair dues. So it was really interesting that to me, the fact that the mind has got this ability to decide how the body's going to react. Like how if you go in the rigs and you do your rig training, they tell you fall into the sea, you've got 90 seconds and you're dead. Right?
I know. You're
dead in 90 seconds, right? So if you fall into the water off a boat and somebody's told you you've got 90 seconds to live, for 90 seconds you're going to try. For 90 seconds you think you're dying. So it's very likely that you're going to die. Because you're going to panic, you're getting close to that 90 seconds and you're going to die. Whereas we've done the Titanic project in the middle of the Baltic Sea in the depth of the winter. We were out there with coast guards and paramedics everywhere, the fucking lifeguards, guys on surfboards on about us, and they said within 15 minutes, they said, we think you will probably last about 15-20 minutes in there because these are cold water people. They went, but I guarantee you this will be a mass excavation exit out of the water. We'll be taking you all out after 15-20 minutes. And I think they said, we probably reckon Valerian will probably stay a wee bit longer. And an hour and 40 minutes, they were like, what is happening?
Yeah.
Like, what is happening there? How are you still in there? And I remember in like the Titanic project, just getting myself into a wee position with the ice jacket and creating a wee bubble of heat with my air. And I just went into a zone. And I just sat there, and an hour and 40 minutes was shouted on me. And to me, it felt like about 5 minutes.
Really?
Like my temperature dropped to 31 degrees. But I was still alive. I dropped to 31 degrees, after. But it dropped after. So the strange thing about the cold is you can maintain your temperature in the water, but when you come out, the water raises your temperature, then further, it drops further. It just plummets. So that's when your shaking process, that's when this just comes really handy to warm you back up again. So it just, this sort of extreme side of it became a study for us. Which then turned into this, for me, being a 12-stepper with God, meditation, prayer, contemplation, looking at myself. The longer I sat in the tank, the more I got into myself. The deeper I went into myself, the more I was looking at myself inside there. And that started to fascinate me. This the quietness of the mind. You're left with nothing but your deep subconscious, and you get time to think and time to be free. And that became really important. And that part of quieting the mind and pushing yourself with the resets, things like the snorkel, is what we then started to build up with this sort of program of working with people, not just alcoholics, but alcoholics, addicts, people that suffer for maybe harming themselves, or overeaters or undereaters, or people with childhood trauma, and the results are unbelievable, man. It's unbelievable for people who are willing to really push themselves and look at themselves. The change that they get is just astronomical.
Yeah, I mean, I think when I spoke to you before, I realised that, because I remember being in a sweat lodge in Arizona, and I was like, I need to get out, I need to get out, I need to get out, and I was obviously there learning to let go. So I was like, you're not burning. Why do you need to get out? Just let go of all that. And I could hear that voice, probably even stronger. That was the first time I really noticed it, rather than in the cold. In the cold, it just became like, well, you're just staying in. That's it. Mm-hmm. But the heat, and I realised I wasn't burning, I wasn't in any danger. But this voice was just like, and if I hadn't been learning how to let go, I would have been out of there. I ended up staying in there for 4 hours. It was so uncomfortable, but it wasn't. That's the whole thing, isn't it? The discomfort is what we react to. Oh, things have to change because we're uncomfortable, instead of getting like, right, okay, what is that? Like, obviously, your friend did. So anyway, let's talk about the festivals as well. So, because I think, you guys have done a 12-week study. You'd sent me some of the testimonials that you've had. So, and I think this is really the message from a Heal Scotland perspective. We need to get out to people, because so many people are suffering right now, and so many people are unwell, and we need to educate people and inspire them in all these things that are available for them. And obviously the ice isn't for everybody. And I know for me with ice, I mean, I lived in Malta. I like being hot, the end. But I also knew.
The thing is about the ice is not for everybody, right? I hear that quite a lot, right? So for us in here, the ice is purely an obstacle. It's only an obstacle. That's all it is. You'll get wonderful benefits. You'll get all the wonderful Wim Hof benefits for it. You'll get brown fats and dopamine levels, and you'll get all that wonderful stuff, right? But for us in here, the ice is only an obstacle. I don't like. Yes. It's only an obstacle into your mind. But so lots of people will say that it's not for me. We go, right, okay, it's not for me, right? Okay, it's not for you. It's not for anybody. Nobody likes to be called. Nobody likes to be called. But at the start of your 12-week program, and I'll use Denise as an example. Denise is this beautiful human being, man. And she came in here quite timid and nervous and worried, and lots of things going on for her that we won't obviously not speak about. And when they first sat in here with the group of 25 people, the first thing I said to them was, there is absolutely nothing that I can do for you. And there's nothing in this world I can help you with. Nothing. You will either come in here and put 100% effort into being uncomfortable, or you won't. I said, because if you come in here and think I'm going to save your life and I'm going to change you like some sort of mad, crazy scheme guru, I says, you're off your nut. I said, this is totally and utterly down to you. Everything that we put in front of you, you will either challenge yourself, put yourself into the cold and put yourself into the ice and learn to get fucking uncomfortable. I says, or you will forever be in your own misery. And I think that scared a lot of them, because I think when we go to things like doctors and CAT teams and psychologists and therapists and CBT and all that sort of thing, I think we're going to sit there and somebody's going to give us a magic tablet, or they're going to give some magic therapy and it's going to work. And nearly 10 out of 10 times it never works, because everybody always wants somebody else to fix them.
Yeah, exactly.
Rather than being able to go, right, all right, here is my problem. Doesn't matter what your problem is. Doesn't matter what it is in life. Doesn't matter if it's horrific as child abuse or whatever. There's got to come a time in your life where you sit up and go, I need to take responsibility for what is going on for me right now. Right 100%.
Now. And when I say the ice isn't for everybody, I mean in this moment. Because I know the first time I saw it, I thought, I'm never doing that. But the seed was planted. And I've got a crowd coming in here to breathe at 8 o'clock, and some want to go in the court and some don't. But I know after they've been breathing, they'll be in a completely different state and they're much more likely to go in, right? So I think, and also exactly what you say, we say that all the time. We're not treating you, we're training you. Teaching you how to manage your own emotional guidance system, how you can heal, the things that you can do for yourself. And that's the big 180-degree shift that's going on right now, is that, your body actually, imagine sitting in front of a complete stranger and allowing them to tell you your fate rather than you that's lived in that thing, understanding what the hell's going on. It's bold. So anyway, but let's talk about the festivals, because they're really, you're so inspiring to talk to. And obviously you've come through that dark night of the soul yourself, and you've seen a lot of people, and it really is, it's hugely hopeful for people that are ready and willing, because I think that's the actual key, isn't it? Are you ready? Are you ready to take responsibility?
Yeah.
And are you suffering enough, I suppose? Because when I hear people saying, "Oh, I would never do that," I'm like, well, really, to get your health back?
But see, who's saying that in their head? Who is saying, I can't do that, I would never do that, that's no for me? See, every time I say to people, do you understand the two people inside your head? Do you understand? Can you acknowledge the two different voices in your head? And everybody always says yes, and it's usually a resounding yes with a bit of a laugh behind it, because they know they have got these two voices in here. And there's the one in there, this intrusive thinker, right? This is where I see us as a polar bear club. We are like the beginning, the start are just looking at this part of your head, this liar, this obsessive, this bullshit in your head that I can't, I won't, I never, I won't, it's no for me. And it's a liar, and it's in there, and it sounds like us, it's got our voice, and it's constantly telling us the negative. It's always looking for the easy way out. It doesn't want the hard way out. It wants you in misery. It wants you under your cloak of depression in your fucking bed. But there's this other side, and people always identify with it. This quiet guide, the observer, the listener, all the mystics have all got their own word for it. For me, it's this quiet guide, this quiet truth that just never fucking loud enough. It's never loud enough just to go, get up, get a fucking grip of yourself. Let's get up. Let's look at what's the matter with me. What do I need to do today? What's the best thing for me today? It's never loud enough, because this side here is always full of shite, and we can't stop listening to it. So who's really out there? Who in this world? Everybody's body is able to sit in that ice tank. Everybody's body is wired and designed to look after itself, to go into a survival mode, to start shaking, to start producing its own heat. Your temperature actually goes up when you go in the ice. It goes up. So
really?
Our bodies are designed to, it goes up a good 0.2 degrees, and it stays like that for a couple of minutes. And it comes back down to normal, and it sits like that for ages, as long as you can stay calm. So the mind is telling you can't do it, and if the mind tells you, your body can't do it. So what is this quietness in here, this quiet guide? We need to learn to start going against the grain and start listening to that, which means we need to be able to start getting uncomfortable. And that's what we learn in the ice in here. You start to learn when you sit in and this is screaming at you. Your feet are burning. Your skin's burning. My fingers are sore. It's uncomfortable. I hate this. Many people just look at me and go, can I get out? Can I get out? Can I get out? I don't say nothing to them. I don't say get out or nothing. I just say, no, what are you doing? I've not got my foot in your fucking head. I just keep my mouth shut, and they usually just sit there and go through it. And all we say is, let's start the process very simply at the fucking beginning. When your head tells you that you can't do something, anxiety kicks in, depression kicks in, the need for a drink, anything, whatever, or a jazz, right? Just take a breath. Take a breath. When you intentionally breathe, you're intentionally thinking. Right? And I've watched people overcome extreme uncomfortable in that dice. And you're sitting there, I say to them, when your feet goes too sore, get out, take a breath in. Tell yourself, breathe in, let go. That's one moment in time. And if you need to do that for the next 10 minutes, you need to do that. And if we start taking control of our breath, then we're taking control of our thinking. Everything centers for the mind. The mind is vast. It's as vast as the universe. It's as complicated as fuck. We'll never probably understand it. So we need to start working with this quiet guide in our head, and we need to start allowing that to be in control, that to start observing, and with that we use the breath. To me, the breath is everything in life. When you're stressed out, when you're uncomfortable, when you're tired, when you're at loss, when you're in pain, what do? You start to huff and puff because your body is screaming at you. Fucking breathe, breathe. Sit back and breathe. Take a breath. Cry if you need to, but just breathe. And we can breathe through the most uncomfortable of situations. And that's what we learn in there. We start to learn the very beginning, just the very start of the process of looking at your head and saying, that isn't me. I want to do 10 minutes in here. I'm in control. That's only a feeling in my feet. That's only a feeling in my neck. This shaking, that's got nothing to do with me. That's the body doing what it needs to do. I just stay out the fucking way.
Yeah.
And just breathe through it, man.
Brilliant. Well, I'm very excited to have you for my final retreat here. And are you going to come to Skye and Tarbert? Or what? Can you do both?
When's Tarbert?
Tarbert's in the 12th to the 14th, I think, or the 13th of April. And Skye's basically the 21st to the 23rd of March. Aye,
I'll do it, man. Hopefully Kate will be watching this and she'll put it all down in dates and stuff.
Because I think
I'll come on. I'll do it.
You've got so much to, because of all the experience you've had with people and watching people and from addiction, from extreme states of distress. I just think it's a fantastic thing to know about and to fully understand in a different way. From just sort of jumping in the sea, it's a different thing. You're going to a different depth.
Completely different.
Yeah. So listen, I've got
a big tank. I'm going to bring with me, and I'm going to jump into Ice 24/7, who is unbelievable sponsor, man. If it wasn't for them, we couldn't do other spot with the community. I'm going to go and get a shitload of ice. A shitload of ice. I'm going to bring my 2 tanks up, and we'll fill one and right up to the brim with ice, man, and we'll properly give people a try, properly push them, and make them feel really uncomfortable. We can do that. So we can do that wherever we go. I can always bring ice. I drive a big flatbed truck, and we can always do that. People a shot.
Amazing. Okay, well, listen, I'm going to send you a form you need to fill in so that we can get you in the programmes. And thank you so much for everything that you're doing. It's just unbelievable, and I am excited to see you next week.
Yeah, so I'm buzzing for it, man. Can't wait.
I'll see you on Tuesday.
Right, see you Tuesday. Thank you.
Magic. Thanks, Kenny. Ciao, ciao.